This is the newly elevated Metronet Queen's Park station. We are currently standing at the northern end of the Cannington train station car park, yet still 450 meters away from the Cannington station entrance, with the big bus interchange visible from here. This is right next to the Cannington Youth Plaza, part of the Long Park project that got developed underneath the new elevated rail along the Armadillo and Thornlie-Cockburn lines. With a full map over here, as you can see we're right here, and 450 meters to Cannington station, and they have this linear diagram, so we're right there, and all the distances between every important spot. But between Oat Street and Queen's Park, 2.5 kilometers with nothing, because that's literally the ground level area. So also here 1,000 with nothing, because as I've told you in previous videos or later videos, the Cannington to Beckenham and Oat Street Queen's Park station is not really the part of Long Park, because the track there anyway, so it's a bit misleading. But anyway, despite that being the Cannington train station car park, it is actually closer to walk to Queen's Park station, which is only around 400 meters this way, as these stations are located so close to each other. So let's take a walk through the whole new section of Long Park on the southern side of Queen's Park station and over to the entrance while we talk about its history. Queen's Park station originally opened all the way back in 1899, named Woodlupine, and it was renamed on the 16th of April 1912 to Queen's Park. A whole 100 years later, the station received a refurbishment and was a relatively busy station despite being so close to Cannington. Is serving multiple schools around the area as well, with a special B pattern service on the Armadillo line, which exclusively stopped there in the afternoon peak or afternoon school peak time to pick up school children, along with the rest of the normal C pattern stations on the Armadillo line. So this here is the intersection of Wharf Street and Sevenoaks Street, which used to be a level crossing, of course, right outside the Cannington Leisureplex. With the elevation as part of Metronet, this level crossing has been removed. This road is used by routes 36 and 51, which there's a bus stop for them right there, and also over here, which go up to Perth Airport and Perth Busport via Orrung Road. Both of these two routes were introduced as part of the Armadillo-Thornlie line shutdown, which began on the 20th of November 2023 to allow for the rebuild of stations and elevation of the rail line. They have, however, been retained even after the reopening of the rail line on the 8th of June 2025. As part of this project, there's a train actually, very noisy overhead. As part of this project, Queen's Park station was rebuilt as an elevated station approximately 100 meters closer to Hamilton Street, which was the second level crossing removed as part of the rebuild for Queen's Park. Slightly closer to Oat Street due to the removal of Welshpool station, although not nearly enough to replace it. Original plans for the Metronet new elevated stations had Queen's Park station located adjacent to Hamilton Street, which would have significantly reduced the distance to Welshpool station. But these plans were changed following further consultation to keep the station closer to the Queen's Park town centre, despite being a mere kilometre from Cannington station. So this is part of the playgrounds over here in Long Park as well. There's this train. Look at this. It's actually got all these buttons. Not that they do anything, but start, stop, drive. Pretty cool. Right there. Long Park is a new public community space created underneath the rail corridor and reducing the separation between each side of the rail corridor by providing direct pedestrian connections between them. The project was not completed until the full reopening of the Armadale Line on the 12th of October 2025, with the Armadale Line now running all the way to Byford Station. For the 4 months between June and October, the Armadale Line terminated at Cannington Station, with Queen's Park being the penultimate station for the line, while the Thornlie-Cockburn Line was operational between Perth and Cockburn Central, connecting to the Mandurah Line. With the opening of the Thornlie-Cockburn Line, journeys to the south from the Queen's Park Cannington area have been significantly improved, with a Thornlie-Cockburn Line train to Cockburn Central and then a Mandurah Line train further south to Rockingham or Mandurah being the best option for a fast journey. The Thornlie-Cockburn Line was primarily served by A-series trains for the period before the Armadale Line was fully reopened, but is now mainly served by B-series trains, while the Armadale Line has A-series trains. With both lines running through the station, it receives a 7.5 minute frequency throughout the entire day, up from its previous 15 minute frequency, with most Armadale Line trains skipping the station except the special B patterns and all stop strips late at night and on Sundays. This will encourage higher densification around the area, especially as part of Metronet's future proposals now that the rail network has been complete, with several stations identified as a location for better densification and state government house planning approvals. Although Queen's Park has not been directly identified as one of the first stations to receive this treatment, it has still provision for this to occur in the future. However, Carlisle and Oat Street stations, located just the next stops towards the city on the line, have been proposed as in the first stage of this densification project, with the state government stepping in for all planning approvals within 800 meters of the station localities. Over here is the shopping center IGA at the station, with the old Queen's Park station being located pretty much right here underneath. And I actually timed my trip after the shutdown started here perfectly to actually witness its demolition. So you can go watch that in the corner. There's also a bus stop here, serviced by the very scarce Route 222, previously known as 201, prior to the opening of the Thornlie-Cockburn Line, operating between Curtin University Bus Station and Cannington Station, only 5 times a day on weekdays, approximately every 2 hours. So there's pretty much no proper buses here in this bus, unless you walk over to the 36 and 51, which you can just go from Cannington anyway, and of course the 2 train replacement routes are here. There is a bus stop for the other side of the road just there as well. So before, you could pretty much walk straight into the train station from the shops there. Now you have to walk a little bit further down, but as I said, it is only 100 meters after they changed the original plans. So it's another grand entrance, right straight like this, walking under the rail corridor to the lovely new elevated station. The station is still treated as one of the more minor ones along the Armadale Line, lacking escalators or toilets at the station. Although there is this bike shelter under here and open station smart rail posters. There is provision for fare gates and escalators eventually though. So here they are. The station now has side platforms long enough to accommodate 6-car trains, despite having an island platform previously. But this was to reduce the space taken up by the platforms and rail corridor. Now, it seems like they've actually changed the lifts, because upon opening, oh no, it still says 2nd floor, but they changed that because they used to say 1 and 2. And here we have a train set 82 on the Thornlie-Cockburn Line, departing. 6-car trains service this station during stadium events, with 6-car trains running on the Thornlie-Cockburn Line and skipping 4-car platforms. Otherwise, the station is mainly served by 2, 3 and 4-car trains. This end has an emergency staircase exit, but no other regularly usable exits exists except that one over there. It is a very straight track over to Cannington Station, which you can see right there. As I said before, we were actually at the car park for Cannington Station at the start of the video, which is closer to Queen's Park Station, which is so ironic. Although Queen's Park does have its own car park on the northern side of Queen's Park Station. So we'll just head down there and take a look there, and then that's pretty much it. It's just another simple station, but obviously much better than the old one. The schools are right there. 2 level crossings removed. So very good. It's just like pretty strange, you know, because if this was a brand new train line, they would have never built train stations this close to each other. But since it was a historic one, they had to retain them, especially since Welshpool was removed anyway, but to continue having passenger access here. Anyway, we'll go down now. So this is the northern exit from Queen's Park Station. There is a few further elements to the long park on this side, but mainly it's the car park, and then the train line dips down anyway to ground level to go under the Leach Highway Bridge and past the site of the old Welshpool Station. So there isn't really much more long park element to it beyond that point, except the new PSP, which has been constructed all the way along the Armadale and Thornlie-Cockburn lines going through there. And also, quite recently, as of the making of this video, maybe already a month ago now, there was some tragic car accident at the site of the old Welshpool Station, where someone was going straight down one of the side streets and blasted through the fence straight in front of a train, like 2 seconds in front of it. That could have been one of the worst transport accidents had the train been 2 seconds ahead with that car there, and then the train line had to be shut down because of that and stuff. So there is actually a dog park about 350 meters more down, but this is all just the narrow car park all the way under the elevated rail. We'll head all the way down and just see what we can see over that Hamilton Street crossing, and that's it. Alright, so this is the most northern extent of the car park for Queen's Park. There's actually another bus stop there, so that's 3 bus stop spacing of the long park section of Queen's Park, from the edge of the Cannington Station car park to the edge of the Queen's Park Station car park. But obviously that's just Route 222. And then over here is Hamilton Street, the other level crossing that was removed. Now, during the shutdown, the station was serviced by train replacement route 908 between Victoria Park Station and Cannington Station. Despite the 907 between Perth Busport and Armadale also going straight past the bus stops in front of the station, it still skipped it just to make the journey faster, I guess. But it seemed really silly because Queen's Park and Carlisle stop on Shepperton Road were the only 2 stops being skipped by the 907 and uniquely served by the 908. Honestly, I think the 908 was so useless, and that whole premise with those bus routes was just wrong, but that's how it was for so long, and now it's already past us, so whatever. So here you connect back into the PSP, which I said you can follow all the way into Perth. Now I think it's finally open, because it wasn't for ages. This is now being filmed in December. I think it still wasn't open as of November, but it should be now, at least past the Welshpool section, I mean. The very last thing before the train line dips back to ground level here is this dog park as well. Railway dog park, just like at Armadale Station. Over here, quite bland, but I guess the best use of space you can make, especially with the train Track's already being so low down here, preparing to get to ground level. Again, there's 2 enclosures, large dogs, small dogs. But yeah, good to see this is actually all ready now. You can definitely jog the whole bit, 7 kilometers, although some sections are just the PSP. I'll do that when it's cooler. It's 37 degrees today, so definitely not the weather for running. And yet more reuse of the railway sleepers here as well, the old ones, which is good to see. Although this is just pebbles and nothing else here. And actually there's some paths supposedly being constructed here. The end is near right there. So effectively Long Park is really 3 different sections. Carlisle to Oat Street, the main section, the most beautiful and abundant section, and then this bit to just basically the Cannington car park, and then just a very small section around Beckenham station once the line's back up, and on the other side of William Street at Beckenham, which is very small, that bit. So it's just those 3 sections connected by the PSP. Because literally here it's a barbed wire fence and just a rail corridor again. So I don't get how you can call this a park, but okay, you do you, Metronet. Right here. This might actually be a really good spot to view a train though. We'll head up and see. But yeah, that's all for Queen's Park. I'm gonna do some train spotting now, starting with the 1 clip I'm gonna do there, even though it's nowhere near the station, and then the station. And while I'm walking back to the station with this very iconic view here with the new elevated corridor curving around and being able to view both Queen's Park and Cannington stations with the hills in the background as well, Queen's Park will be getting a rating of 4 stars. It is a very good station, elevated obviously, and much better than many of the heritage stations. However, without toilets and escalators and fare gates and being staffed and all of these things, which I know it's a little station, but the fact that they spend so much on it and then it just doesn't get those finishing touches just brings it down that 1 notch compared to the Grand Cannington station a mere kilometer after it. But I know there's provision for improvements to that in the future, and we may eventually see it, so it's not all that bad. Really, it's like 4.5 stars because there's not much more you can do. So, very good Queen's Park station. And yeah, that's it. I just love how before you even get to the Queen's Park station entrance, there's a sign for Cannington station being 1 kilometer ahead. That is so amusing. It's right there. But nope, you can just go to Cannington instead.
passengers. Your next service is leaving from platform 2 in 5 minutes. This service stops all stations to Byford.
He stopped nowhere near the car marker. The car marker here is in such a bad spot because literally the exit is there. That is where 2 cars should be stopping. And I swear the car marker is here. Yeah, 432 right there. Like, bruh, who thought of that? Trying to get a thumbnail shot here. Hopefully that'll do. 2B series, which doesn't usually happen. It's usually like a bit staggered, but this one's a bit late, so.
service runs all stations to Cockburn Station.
And no one used it. And again, he didn't stop at the marker. Practically not at the mark because it's in such a dumb spot.